Hey everybody, Ian Lee here. Hope y'all are doing well today. So in this video, I want to talk about pivots, really great little concept and idea and motif, and just fun to practice and all of it and to play. I want to talk about creating your own exercises from different things. That's something that I really love to do, and how to kind of look at things through the filter of the teachings of Barry Harris and combining all these concepts. And so let's just dive into it. So let's talk about what a pivot is really quick, just so we get the basic idea. So a pivot, the way Barry teaches it in I think its essential form, the way that he initially prescribes pivots, is to do them over 4-note chords. So if we take a 4-note chord, which is if you take any scale and you start on any note in the scale, let's just do C major and start on C just for ease of use. We start on C, we play C, we skip a note, we play the next note, which is E, we skip a note, play the next note, which is G, skip a note, play the next note, which is B, and then we have a C major 7, so we have a 4-note chord, right? Not a 3-note chord with the octave on top, which is what we'll call an arpeggio for now. So now we're playing a 4-note chord. Okay? Now you can pivot that. So for example, say I start on the higher octave of C, okay, right there, and I go, normally I would play this, but I can pivot that in the sense that I can play that C and then play everything else in a lower octave. And I'll just play it not up and down. I'll just play it just like that. Ba 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 da, and you can do this with any chord. So instead of going, oh wait. And it's really pretty, like it's got a really pretty sound to it. And the whole idea too is that the way Barry talks about it when he's prescribing these ideas, he's saying, you won't run out of room on your instrument. And so it's a cool thought. I really like it. And there's lots of ways to pivot. I just posted a couple of shorts on my channel about pivoting scales, and I'll get into that maybe in another video. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was pivoting arpeggios, and I had thought about this but hadn't really taken a dive into it yet. And I had this idea of going, I should take something from an old classical music book. So I'm a classically trained violinist from a young age, and I was a Suzuki kid, Suzuki violin method, and I think that's a really wonderful system. And I went into a piece called The Witch's Dance, which is a theme by Paganini. Now, of course, what they do in these books is they take, a very extravagant piece and maybe take a small piece of it and then change the key to fit, ease of use on the violin for the student and where they are. So this is a piece out of book 2, so it's still in the beginner phase of the student. And I was looking at this piece of music, The Witch's Dance, and there's a part in the song, it's a really cool little tune, and it goes, ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da. Now what is that? That's a pivoted arpeggio. Isn't that cool? So I love this for a couple of reasons, for a lot of reasons. There's a few videos where Barry is saying, there's a couple videos I've seen, but I think he's pretty adamant about this concept where he says, there's one video from Jazz at the Lincoln Center, and I can link to all this in the description. He says, I let all these cats run around here calling me a jazz musician, but I know what I am. I'm a classical musician. Chopin would have been happy to have had me around to hang out with. And I love that because he's always saying jazz is the extension of classical music, right? And we don't have to get into I'm not trying to get into some debate about what music is or isn't and genres and all that. I just think it's great that Barry is trying to just break the barriers down and not create barriers, but open things up. So in this way, I went to this old piece, and even when I was learning this when I was a kid, here I am learning pivots as a kid, because in the sense that jazz is the extension of classical music, then we have an idea from Paganini coming out and going, oh, I could use that in my jazz improvisation, which is awesome. And just in my practice in general, no matter what genre of music you're coming from, these are all great things to work on and to look at. So it was great because Barry gave me a context through which I could look at this little line and then go, oh, I know what that is. And now I can use it wherever I want and learn how to create spontaneous music from it, improvise from it, create lines, whatever, okay? So pivoting the arpeggio. Well, an arpeggio is a 3-note chord with the bottom note repeated on the top. So if I play a D major arpeggio, I go, so D, F sharp, A, D, A, F sharp, D. But in the Paganini piece, we do a pivot. So instead of starting on the lower D, we start on the higher D and then repeat all the same notes in the exact same order. So, but we end on the lower D. Isn't that cool? Man, I love it. That's so cool. And it's all in triplets, except for that last note. What a great thing. Now, let's talk about practicing this, because there's a few ways we can think about it. We can practice this on the important minor that exists on the 5th scale degree of the dominant scale. And then we could practice it on another important arpeggio in that, which is the flat 7 off of the flat 7th scale degree in the dominant scale. So for example, if we're in the key of D, I would play an arpeggio off of D, so it'd be a D major arpeggio. I could play an arpeggio off of A, because that's the 5th of the key of D, and that's an A minor arpeggio, and then I can play another major arpeggio off of C. So what I can do is use this pivot idea that I got from Paganini, but that Barry Harris has allowed me to contextualize and go, oh, now I have a context for this. Oh, that's what he's doing. Okay, that's what Paganini was doing. So I can do what Paganini was doing, but in my improvisation and in my practice, and take a piece of something and make it my own. This is very cool stuff, y'all. And I hope it's inspiring you and exciting you, because that's the whole point of this channel. Now, so I can go to D and go, okay, now I'll go to A minor. Instead of going, I'll go, so I get to practice pivoting the arpeggio. And then I get to practice pivoting my C major arpeggio as well, and go, or I guess if I was in second position, or I could reach in first. Anyways, that doesn't matter so much. But so the idea here is that you can run these things through and use them then to practice and create lines. And of course, you could arpeggiate every chord in a scale if you wanted to, but also if we again look at Barry's ideas, just for the time being, as a ground floor to extend and create our own ideas, we can just start by going, well, there's the arpeggio that exists on the tonic of the dominant scale, in this case, a D mixolydian or D7 scale, a D dominant scale. Those are 3 names for the same thing. We could do it off of the 5, which is A minor, and that's where we get A minor 7 from, right? A minor 7, D7 to G, so that's 2, 5, 1. That's where we get the 2 minor chord. Because really, if you see 2 minor and 5, you can just think 5. It's all right there for you. Because the 2 minor exists inside of the 5. It comes out of that, okay? Now, and then we can use it on the arpeggio that comes off the flat 7th scale degree. So I hope that was helpful to you and inspiring. I know it was really fun for me to see those connections and to go, wow, I've been doing this all this time, but I didn't have a name for it. And now I have this name for it, which means that I have a context for it, which means I can move it around and reshape it. And who knows what it will turn into and become. But that's the fun. So happy practicing. And please like, subscribe. If you have any comments, any questions, anything you want to see, please comment below. I'm happy to help out as best I can. All right. Have a great day.